Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of JakesTake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Now, before we get started with our chat, if you're listening to this on our audio version, please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm very excited because today's guest is coming to us all the way from London, England. She's an award-winning producer and director, and her short films have included Telltale Signs and Martin. And recently, she released her newest film, Borrowed Time. So please help me welcome Ginevra Gentili to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, Ginevra. Thank you so much for taking time on your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's a huge pleasure to be here, honestly. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. So, guys, before we got started with our conversation, I was just telling Ginevra offline, I actually studied abroad in London a couple of years before she arrived in London, and I miss that city so much.
It's a wonderful city. It's unique, and the beauty of it has always been that it's a melting pot, right? So you get people from everywhere with different stories, different backgrounds, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. Yeah.
I miss that. It's been 12 years since I've been there, and it's one of the best experiences of my life.
You should come back and visit.
I need to. Let me get my passport first. But however, let's get to our conversation. So, Ginevra, when did you get interested in filmmaking, and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
So I mean, I was always passionate about film from childhood, really. But it did take me a while to realize that it's what I wanted to do. I think it's maybe because of where I came from. Like I grew up in Italy, but near a very small town, and there just sort of wasn't really the possibility, to explore like many creative outlets. But I always wrote. I was always very visual, very vivid imagination, and I started off with photography. So it was kind of when I got to London, I sort of there were a series of little things, but I sort of realized that what I really wanted was to combine all of that and make films, because I guess that's what films really are, like a combination of all those things, photography, visuals, storytelling, music, all my favorite things. So it just kind of made sense that it's what I did. Yeah.
That's incredible, and it's amazing how films have had the power to capture imaginations for a very long time, since the 1900s. And I do have some of my favorite films of all time, especially the Star Wars saga and the Avengers Infinity saga as well. So those are some of my all-time favorite films. Do you have any of your all-time favorite films?
Oh my gosh, there are too many. As a kid, I loved Back to the Future. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, definitely. So I kind of grew up with those and Jurassic Park and all those movies. I mean, to be honest, there's just too many. I sort of just watch a lot of different things. I wouldn't say I've got a favorite genre. Um, Newer films, I'm a big fan of Whiplash. That's a great film, I think. Absolutely love it. And another favorite of mine is The Place Beyond the Pines. I think that's a really, really nice film. I really like the cinematography in that one. Yeah.
Awesome. So can you please describe your production company, North Harley Films, origin story to my audience?
North Harley Films is a small independent production company ran by women, and I sort of started it off because I think the industry is so competitive and tough out there, and there is a lot of talent that has really unique voices but don't quite get recognition soon enough, or just in general. And so I just sort of wanted to start my own production company and build it and get it to a point where it can become the home, I guess, for that talent. So where it can discover and support all these amazing projects that are out there that are just not getting the platform that they need. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do with it.
Awesome. I totally agree with you on that statement because there's so many, a lot of major not only major film, no, a lot of movie lovers go to know like Disney or Universal, like the heavy hitters, and they don't know a lot of independent filmmakers as well. So, what have been some of the challenges that you faced breaking into this industry, and like how and working on these films and try and establishing yourself in this industry, and how do you overcome those obstacles?
Well, I mean, it's a tough one, like I'm still overcoming them now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a sort of career where you kind of need to. There are always going to be obstacles, and I think as a creative, every time you make something new, there is almost. I mean, every story is different, but you always want to make sure that you sort of top your previous work. You know what I mean? That you always do better than what you've done before, or at least that's the aim. That doesn't always happen. So, but I think in independent film, it's challenging because the industry is competitive. It's not necessarily easy to get into, I think, and you just need to try a bit of everything, and it's also a lot of it is also down to luck. I think one of the main things that a lot of independent filmmakers, especially the ones that are starting off with their first shorts and all of that, they focus a lot on their story and what they want to do, which is important, which is really important. Of course, you need to have your own voice and a unique story, a story that you think people will want to hear. But I think a lot of filmmakers starting up, they forget the importance of what happens after, which is also promoting your film, so promoting that story and getting people to start talking about it. And I think that's a really important aspect. And there are so many limits. Like, in independent film, you've got budget limits, so you need to try and achieve certain things on limited budgets, and really get creative with it, right? Because if you, for example, in my latest short, we had a car accident scene, and obviously that requires a certain amount of budget, and we could have actually worked it out in a way where we could have had, like, budget-wise, the proper the classic kind of car flip that you see from the outside, like with a pipe ramp and everything. But I decided not to do it. In my case, it wasn't budget reasons, and not every production could afford that. In my case, it was a visual approach. I just really didn't want to have that action feel to it. I wanted to keep it a drama and keep the audience connected. But even in something like that, you've got those limitations, right? Like, you can only afford a stunt team for so many days. You can, so in independent film, I think, if anything, it kind of requires for you to be a little bit more resourceful, even in the moment. And try to plan for as many, like, plan Bs, plan Cs as possible. Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with a limited amount of budget too, because you may have the biggest budget in the world, but however, it may be flopping left and right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, absolutely. It's not. Well, for some films, yes, you do need a certain budget to just make certain things possible, just because it's just not feasible. But I agree that you don't need a big budget to make a powerful film. Some of the most powerful films are simple, simple in terms of the fact that they're not fancy, like, aesthetically, or with, what I mean, they're simple stories. They're not, yeah. So I think, yeah, money isn't everything. You can spend millions and millions and millions, and then, like you said, the film can flop. It's always a gamble in that sense. You never know. You never know how a film is gonna be received. But I think that the aim is, if you wanna, some films are made to entertain and make people sort of switch off and transport them to a whole other world. And others are to make people think and feel. And I think it just really depends, what kind of film it is that you want to make, and then try and kind of and make sure that you find the audience for it, which is the tough part, because, as I said, it can be a gamble. Yeah.
Absolutely, and like you've directed and produced like several stuff, like not just short films like Martin and Telltale Signs, but also music videos and documentaries such as the Eivør Talks tour, So, what were some of the most memorable moments filming these projects, and and what's the difference between going into a documentary versus a short feature?
A documentary is obviously much more hands-on. There is a certain amount of prep, but then when it comes down to the filming of it, it's really in the moment. You really need to just kind of follow around. Well, in my case, we were following the artist around during her tour. But I think you just need to sort of be very in the moment and try and capture things there and then, right? So it's and try and make it authentic and show a side of the artist that maybe an audience wouldn't otherwise see. Obviously, and you've got that kind of approach, and you're not working on a film set with where everything is reset every time. Like, you only have that one chance to capture a moment. If you see it and you don't get it, it's gone. I think with a documentary it's a little bit more like that, and I really loved it. It's you really do see sides of an artist that you wouldn't normally see, and it was a great artist. Eivør is a great artist. She's really unique, so it was a huge opportunity to do that. And with a film, it's with a narrative film, it's different. There is a lot more prep. You've got a bigger team in a way on the set because but you also have more opportunities to create your scene. Martin was a very different kind of film in terms of preparation, because it was all filmed in one shot. Even if in the edit I decided to cut towards the end of the film, it was all done in one take, in one shot. So that was obviously quite complex, and we did, I think, about in 2 days, 28 takes of this one shot. So that was quite a lot, and technically really challenging. Everything had to be choreographed throughout the entire take, so it required a very unique approach. Whereas my other films, like Telltale Signs and Borrowed Time, they're both dramas, so I guess in a way it was a little bit more similar with the pre-production. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to go back to Borrowed Time, because can you describe this film to my audience, and also how is it similar to, I know that you said it's a drama like Telltale Signs, but how is it similar or different between Telltale Signs and Martin?
I would say Martin is quite different from everything that I've done. So Borrowed Time and Telltale Signs are much more on the genre of films I want to make. Borrowed Time is a short drama based on a true story, centered around grief, and it tells a story of, between 3 generations of women, centered around the youngest teenager, Olivia. With Telltale Signs, it actually has quite a few similarities. It's interesting because I didn't realize until a little bit after making the film. But they are they're both dramas, as I've said. They're both centered around young characters. They're both sort of coming of age, with a coming of age feel. They both also explore a parent and son-daughter relationship in very different ways, but they both have this aspect in common. And this fun fact that I only realized a few days ago is that both films actually start at the same location or place in the story where they end. So maybe that's something that I will try and keep in all of my films. I don't know. But obviously Borrowed Time differs because it's based on a true story, and we kept the events of the film really close to real life. And I also decided to make it a production by a majority female team, which to me was really important. And also because of it was a much more complex short film production, because as mentioned earlier, like involved stunts and a car accident. So in that sense, it differs because it was quite challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to congratulate you, because you're in the pre-production of your debut feature, Anime Device. So how is this pre-production process different from all your pre-production processes of all your films?
Anime Divise, which the English title is actually going to be Souls Divided. So the film is currently still being developed because I want to make sure that we really have a great script before we really kick off pre-production properly. And obviously, with it being a feature, it's taking a little bit longer because it is longer. And I'm collaborating with a couple of people on it, and then we're getting there. With the rest, it will only really differ in the fact that we'll be working with. I mean, personally, so far as I can see at the moment, the main difference will be that it will be a bigger budget, of course, than a short film, and we'll be working with a bigger team. And then the only other real difference and challenge with this that I'm actually looking forward to is the fact that we're going to film it in 2 countries. So it'll be a United Kingdom production, but I want to film it between the UK and Italy. So that should be quite interesting in terms of coordinating between, shooting between the 2 countries and all of that. Yeah.
And it's a wholly different process because the UK filming process is different than the Italy process, because I believe you may have to fill out a lot more paperwork for Italy.
Yeah, probably. It's very likely. I mean, we'll see. We'll explore the option of potentially, once things kick off officially pre-production, we might explore the option of finding a production company in Italy that could support us at North Harley Films, sort of, collaborate with us on the filming in Italy, just because that might make the paperwork a little bit easier for us. So we might explore that option. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I've never really filmed in Italy before, and it's where I come from. I think this film will have quite a few outdoor scenes, and it's just a beautiful place to film that sort of stuff in. So that's why I kind of really want to make that happen. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about social media. Is there a social media channel that you prefer the most out of all the others?
I suppose at the moment, because I keep saying this in most interviews, I'm quite terrible with my own personal social media, Ginevra Gentili, so I wouldn't necessarily go with that one. I would say at the moment, Borrowed Time would be the best place to keep up to date with the film and my production company, both on Instagram. Borrowed Time, you can find at borrowedtime.film, and the production company at North Harley Films. And that's sort of that one is sort of everywhere: YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome. So we got to start running our conversation. So if you had a chance to meet with a filmmaker who wants to advance their career in the entertainment industry, what advice would you share with them?
I would say I think there are so many different routes to take. I think try everything, but most importantly, first off, remember that it's making a film. It's all the way teamwork. So just really make sure that you sort of take care of those collaborations, each and one of them that you have in a production, and that you listen to your team, and also just really try and find out what you want to say, as a filmmaker, what it is that you really want to say, because finding out your voice as early as possible, I think will only help. Yeah.
Awesome. So last question. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So I know you mentioned the social media earlier, but where can my audience find your films, and support your company?
So my films, Telltale Signs has been released recently by, I think, Shorts. It's an independent platform, so you can watch it there, and it's via Vimeo. And we're looking to release it on other platforms as well at the moment. Martin is still waiting to be released. So to find out about that, if you follow North Harley Films, then as soon as it premieres online publicly, we'll let everyone know. And yeah, I mean, you can follow all my films on IMDb as well. So you keep up to date with Souls Divided as well as it goes through the production stages. Yeah. I think that's
awesome. So, guys, if you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker. It's Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Once again, JACOBELYACHAR. Are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Ginevra, just let you know, Jake's Take, the blog that started it all, is celebrating 11 years this August.
Oh, wow, really? That's amazing. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. If you guys want to find out more articles, more movie reviews, more interviews, and the latest on what's happening on America's Got Talent, visit jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Ginevra, congratulations with all your success. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.